So let's talk about those better games. Microsoft had their first-party conference today, showing off a lot of first-party games. They had a few third parties, but mostly they focused on the games they were making themselves, which all of those games will be day one on Game Pass for you to play. For me, the conference was like a C- at best. They showed off some games I was interested in. They showed off a new Fable, just titled Fable, not Fable 4. But that sounds awesome. They showed off State of Decay 3, which the trailer looked great. I'm not a huge State of Decay fan, but I love the idea of it. The first two just never hit for me, so hopefully this third one does. They showed off a new RPG by Obsidian, which I'm sure you're kind of excited for, Jeremy. That seemed right up your alley. What's it called? Avowed?
Yes.
Okay, and
so just quickly, I'm so stupid. When I first saw the title, I thought it said Avowed.
Avowed?
I thought it said Avowed, and it wasn't until the guy going on and said, "Yeah, we're talking about Avowed," and I'm like, that makes way more sense.
All right, man, cool. And they showed off a horror game called Medium. Did you see that one, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that one looked fantastic. It was like the most unique one for me, where the TV was split in half and you kind of played both sides. Looked very scary. And also Halo Infinite they showed. They showed a big chunk of that. 9 minutes. They showed a lot of the single player. And dare say it looked great. It looked reminiscent of Halo Combat Evolved, the second level where you actually go on the Halo, a little more open world, a little more go where you want. You're not just walking down corridors. Graphics looked great. Gunplay looked fun. You had a grappling gun. You had a couple different techniques. It looked like it was going back to just pure fun. So now, Fable State of Decay 3, those were all CGI trailers, and they weren't even very long. Fable was a 15-second tease, something like that. State of Decay 3 was 30 seconds. Avowed, that showed no gameplay, right? That's the one with the arrows flying.
Yep.
Pretty much a lot of this was just concept of what the game's going to be. We didn't get to see what it was. So, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed by that. Like I said, I would say Sony's was better. But I will say this. It was better than Nintendo's Mini Direct. Go on, Jeremy. You have some strong opinions on this one?
I do. So I thoroughly enjoyed watching this. And watching it, I have to take back something I've been saying. I've been saying that I'm not going to buy an Xbox Series X. But after seeing this, I think I am.
Really?
And the reason for that is because there's one game in particular that led me to believe that, which I will mention now, which is the game I'm actually excited to play on there, which is Ori and the Will of the Wisp. So in that presentation, they talked about how it'll be able to be rendered 4K 120 frames on the Xbox Series X. So before I was saying, I'm not going to get a Series X because I already have a PC.
Right.
What I think is happening, though, is I think the Xbox is going to have some software optimization mojo happening in the console that's not going to be on PC. PC is all about hardware optimization. The Xbox Series X, I believe, is going to have some hardware optimization, but it's also going to have some software optimization. So I think when you get these games that were developed especially for Xbox Series X, that's what they're going to be tapping into.
Okay.
So, you mentioned Halo. I saw the Halo. That was the first game they showed in the presentation. I'm like, okay, yeah. Watching that presentation reminded me of actually how big of an Xbox Microsoft fanboy I've been in the past. Because I was game for almost pretty much everything they showed. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Halo. Okay. And I'll tell you why the presentation wasn't that bad. I liked it a lot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Halo. Looking forward to Ori Will of the Wisp when that goes on there. Right. Looking forward to State of Decay 3. I've played State of Decay 2, and I like it. It's not great, but it's a good idea. They can do some interesting things with it. And then what was it? Obviously they showed the teaser at the end for Fable, which is being developed by Playground.
The Forza guys.
The Forza people. Yep. So they're developing it. So they gave it to a good solid team. That's a good thing. I'm looking forward to everything Obsidian does. So I'm definitely going to play the new DLC that they announced on there for Outer Worlds. Also going to be checking out Avowed, as I've learned it's called.
What about Grounded?
Love that idea.
I love the idea too.
I loved it.
I'm pretty pumped for it.
Yeah. I know it's going on with preview in early access first, and then it'll be available day one on Game Pass, I believe.
Right.
What other games they have? You mentioned the Medium, which I'm not terribly interested in playing, but it was an interesting, cool looking game.
Right.
Yeah.
They showed off some Destiny 2 stuff.
Destiny 2 stuff.
They showed off Psychonauts 2.
Yep, Psychonauts 2. Oh, they showed off Stalker 2. Very interested in that.
Yeah, I have no clue what that game is. I've heard of the franchise. It's a big PC game, right? The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this. I didn't hate the conference. Like a lot of the games they've mentioned, I was excited for, I just hate that, Fable has nothing to show for it. It has such a small clip. And I feel like that developers had a few years now to work on it and to show us nothing.
I don't think so.
And same with State of Decay 2. And I was kind of hoping for a reason to buy the new Xbox. And I really don't have one because every single one of these games are going to be playable on your Xbox X. Or X, either one, because they don't have console exclusives for at least 2 years, they said. So for me, it was a good conference, not a great conference. And Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It's actually a really, really good game. And it had some major bugs, so I can see why this new console will really do itself good for that game.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason I enjoyed the presentation is that it show as much gameplay and as much straight fire as the PlayStation 1? No. And Microsoft knew that. So I like the fact that with the different games, a fair amount of the different games they announced, that they showed the creative process behind it.
Okay.
If you think about like the Psychonauts 2 trailer, and specifically, they showed how Jack Black was in the studio recording a song and different stuff like that. And I think they also showed a little bit of the creative process for... I forgot there's an indie game. What is it? Something Dusk. I forgot. And it's a small little indie game that's kind of like a really interesting art style that they're going with. But they showed a little bit of the creative process behind that. Let's see. They showed a little bit of the creative process behind Hellblade, which I'm super pumped for.
Yeah, that looks great. And I think the game was called As Dusk Falls.
Yes, that's it. Yep. So that kind of stuff, being, a creative person myself, I found that interesting, giving you little glimpses behind the process of some of these games. So that's cool. The Fable is one of my favorite franchises. And so I guess it's cool that they're making another one. I don't think they had a lot of time because I think they just made the decision recently as to whether they want to create Fable again. Okay. I think that the third one was so poorly received that they were debating, okay, should we even make another one? And then they had Fable Journey, something Journey?
4v1 type game where one was like a dungeon master.
Well, that was the one that got canceled.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There was a Connect one before then.
Okay.
That went over terribly, and then that last one got canceled. So you've had bad game, canceled game, heavily ruined the franchise, and I think they said, okay, we're gonna give this another shot, but if we do, we're gonna give it to one of our A teams, and it looks like a reboot. There's no, like you said, there's no Fable 4. Right. It just says Fable. So.
Now, do you think it's a good idea that they don't bring these games to exclusively Xbox Series X? For like a consumer like me, I'm really debating whether I should get one because I know I can play it. Now, I know Halo Infinite's not going to look like that at all, but I could wait a year and then get the Xbox. Or you think they just don't even care?
I think Microsoft right now has to be focused on getting quality first-party games. Like that's it.
Right.
Because you have to kind of build that legacy in order to get people interested into whatever for a console thing, right? Mm-hmm. So like there's people who bought the PlayStation 4, right? and they were able to play The Last of Us Part 1 on it because that was the game in Legacy. And so you've had people who bought it at launch because of that game, and you had people that bought it just now to play the second one.
Right.
So I think Microsoft has to do the same thing with building their legacy up. Now they're doing it. I think the Xbox will sell because Halo Infinite is going to be a launch game.
Right.
So I think that moves copies. They're taking their biggest franchise and they're going to package it with their game. That's going to move the game system.
Even with someone like me being able to play it on my Xbox One S.
Yeah.
Like you have an Xbox at home, right?
Yeah.
So like even though you can play Halo Infinite on that console, you're still going to be lining up for the new one.
I'm not lining up for anything, but I will buy it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Oh man.